Do you guys want to learn about a strategy that has statistically beat dollar cost averaging by 2x, 4x, or even 5x? Well, stick around. I got a great show for you. Welcome to Crypto Science, a show about fundamentals and data science, always hype free. I'm really excited about this episode, so let me just go ahead and jump right in. So we're going to talk about a smarter dollar cost averaging strategy. So let's just start with the basics. Let's talk about what dollar cost averaging is. So essentially, you're buying a fixed amount every X number of days, like every week. So for example, let's say you invested $100 every week from January 1st, 2019 to now. So what would that look like? Essentially, it would look like this. You would start off, somewhere at 0%. You be up 100% here, and at some point, like during the peak, you'd be up 600%, right? So you would invest around $14,000. You would be around 600% at the peak, and today you'll be around 354%. So that's great, right? You're buying every week $100, whether the price is up, down, and you're basically getting the average price across this time period. So that's why it's called dollar cost averaging. But can we do better? Well, damn right we can. So enter your new best friend called Nupol. I talked about this in actually my first video about my 3 favorite metrics for calling the top. So what Nupol is, it stands for net unrealized profit and loss. So short story is, when this indicator is 75% or more, it's typically indicative that we're at the peak or definitely near it. And what this 0.75 means is that 75% of Bitcoins held are in profit. And then if anything is below zero, those means that those percent of Bitcoin, so anything that's under 0% is not in profit, and that's a great time to buy. So what if we, and by the way, this metric is available on Glassnode, but you could actually also find it in, look into bitcoin.com. Right, so you can actually get this indicator, the Nupol one, right here. It's just called relative unrealized profit and loss here. So you can see that today it's around 39%, but here we were like at 74%. So going back to here, let's talk about Nupol some more. So here's a breakdown of Nupol by band. So this is like, almost you can think of it as like bins. So the count of days that Nupol was at, let's say, 0.7 band, broken down by year. And what's interesting is that about 10% of its life, so 5, 4, 1, and here, it was basically below zero. And only 5% of its life was it at 0.7 and above. What's kind of cool is that in 2017, it only spent 36 days above 0.7, most of it towards the November and December time. And then, while in 2013, it spent 70 days above 0.7 when we had the double top. And today, we're about 48 days above 0.7. The point is that this is a great time to generally take profits. This is a great time up above to get in. So what if we had a Nupol adjusted dollar cost average strategy? So what does that mean? So I kind of made this up, but the idea is that you want to dollar cost average when the Nupol indicator is, at this kind of lower band. So you're essentially buying in when Nupol is in this kind of red zone, right? You're basically trying to buy the bottom is the idea. So if you did that, you would, let's say, for example, if Nupol at 0, you'd buy $50. If on a day it hits 0.1, it's $100, $200, $300, $400, so forth. So what does that actually look like from a return perspective? So in orange, we have, hide myself, the previous kind of simple dollar cost averaging strategy. The blue shows the Nupol dollar cost averaging strategy. So you only buy when Nupol is at these values. So the takeaway is that at the peak, you would have that 600% return, and here you get 1600%. Today you'd be at 350%, and Nupol will be 1100%. So let me just kind of show you the actual math, just to say I'm not just inventing these numbers by any means. So here's Nupol DCA. So we start in January 2019. The band was minus 0.01, get $100. It's at 0.1, get $100. Invest $100. Here we go into the 0.2 band, $200. So the point here though is that, or the catch is that you're essentially only investing when it's like super low, right? So it pretty much doesn't happen very often, but when it does, it hangs out in that period for maybe a month or two. And then you can see it kind of stopped around April 1st, 2019, and then it was just like didn't invest anything. Then sometime in, I think, March 2020, we bought a bit more when Bitcoin dropped from 7,900 to 4,800, and we bought in, and that's pretty much it. And at that point, we accumulated around 3 Bitcoins. Going back to here, this is the kind of return you see. Now, can we do even better, right? We're on a roll here. Why not? What if you have a strategy that buys and sells according to Nupol? So the idea is that, going back to our Nupol chart here, here, you would essentially buy red or capitulation, sell into euphoria. So here's the strategy that I made up. You still buy, $50 when it's 0, $100 when it's 0.1, 200, blah, blah, blah. And then you start selling 1% of your total investment if it hits 0.70, 1% if it hits 0.71, 2% if it hits 0.72, 3 and 4, right? So what does this look like? Guess what? We make even more money. We even have a higher return. So at the peak, you would go from simple DCA 600% to 1600% to over 2000% at the peak, right? So that's a pretty substantial gain, right? That's 3x. 6 times 3 is 18, right? So it's a 3.2x or so from the simple DCA. So that's pretty great. Now you might be wondering, well, we're in this current market cycle. How does this actually hold up if we were to do this in the previous market cycle? I'm glad you asked. So for that, I ran a backtest on buying in back in 2015 to 2018. Now, I'll be honest, this is like the most amazing graph I've ever seen when it comes to taking advantage of these market cycles. I mean, it is like perfect. You're basically buying in, and then you start, you're basically selling on this way up to some degree, and you would have like, what is that, 6,300%, and then just flat lines. I mean, this is beautiful because most people would hold to the top and then they'll just ride the wave down. I mean, I did that back then. I definitely didn't take advantage or even know the best way to start taking profits and understanding where in the market cycle we are. But had I known this information, I would be like holding, I would have sold 85% by the peak. By the peak. That's pretty awesome. So let me show you what this data actually looks like. So Nupol buy and sell. So this is the graph that I want to show you is this guy here, right? We have this beautiful kind of flat line. So what does this actually look like? Well, let me show you this with the blanks. So you'd be buying, here you invest $50, $100 back in 2015 when it's either 0 or negative. It's great. You're doing all this buying. Awesome. And then, so you're taking advantage of buying when it's nice and negative. And then you start selling the minute it hits 0.7. And I actually did sell a little bit 0.6. I think I rounded up is what happened here. Yeah, I did some rounding. But either way, you're essentially selling kind of at these upper bands here, and you could see that it basically only sold, when Bitcoin was around 2,400, and then at 9,000, and it really actually sold the majority of Bitcoin that it sold. It sold it actually accumulated. So check this out. It accumulated, if you were to buy that amount during the down periods, you would have accumulated 182 Bitcoins, 182, and you would have reduced your exposure through November by 29 Bitcoins. And then the rest of the exposure you would reduce by 126 Bitcoins and be left with holding 27 Bitcoins come December 22nd, right? So anyway, point is that these markets generally do work in cycles. I expect this market to, eventually have some sort of blow off top. We might not see 80% drawdowns like we have in previous market cycles, but I would strongly encourage you to take profits. Whatever the strategy is, could be my strategy, could be a variation of it. If we're in the 0.7 or like 0.69 maybe, or 0.68, take some profits. You don't want to be that person that regrets just kind of riding it up and then riding it down. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this content. One other quick update for you is I actually launched my website. So if you go to cryptoscience.finance, this is my site. And if you want access to the information behind this firewall or this behind this this user and password, come to my Telegram channel. It's linked in the description below. And if you like this content, do hit the like button, do hit the subscribe button, and talk to you guys soon. Have a good one.